This is the Catalyst Effect. I'm your host, Isaac Carter, and we are at DFW Startup Week, hosted by the Debt Council and sponsored by Capital One. And I am here with Ray. Ray, you have an idea in the fintech space that you're still kind of working on, but really excited about. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I think it's going to do a lot of good in the world.
Well, let's do your pitch. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah, I just so the best way I can explain this is, I'm calling it the Q solution. Right. So
Okay.
the idea is that if I am your customer, right, in Dubai, as an example, right, and you're here in the States and I need to send you your payment, it's going to take you 7+ days plus fees for you to get that money. Right. With my solution, you actually get that money instantly with one flat fee.
Okay.
So in the financial world, there's different things called like corresponding and respondent banking, where if you send money from the States to Japan, that money has to flow through bank to bank to bank in a correspondent and respondent bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my idea is to break that apart and disrupt that market. Obviously, there are other players in play right now. And the difference between me and other people, for example, I think, can't think about somebody right now. I think maybe Stripe and some other ones are on the field right now in cross-border payments and payment remittance, is that I build and enhance white hat financial crimes, fraud, and sanction programs. So that means from your basic know your customer to know your employee to verify an identity on the front end, to where I've pitched cases to 3-letter agencies and have friends who have worked at 3-letter agencies as well.
Okay.
So, and all that means is that it gives me a head start over somebody else in the sense that when you think of the combination, so the tool is going to be relying on two things, right? A combination of fiat and blockchain. Right. So when you think of blockchain, you think crypto, you think fraud, and that's where my expertise comes to play. Right. And given that it's a payment remittance or international cross-border payments, my experience in sanctions also comes into play.
Sure.
So it creates a better path. Ironically enough, I actually got off the phone with the OCC yesterday because I want to take advantage of the Genius Act, right? It was literally passed a few weeks ago. And then if I can leverage that stable coin, which I have a path for right now, it just speeds things up a lot faster. Because it also removes, some cryptos have a negative stigma to it, right? And using this particular tool, whether people like it or not, it actually adds a certain value to it as well. Because it removes all that stigma, say, oh, this is government-based, so it should be a little better.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to get what do you think so far?
So what's your go-to-market strategy?
Well, right now, the target is regional banks. They have a really small footprint in, payment remittance. Once the product gets more refined and the tool just keeps refining, I feel really confident that we can go after the big players, the big fish.
Okay, I can see that because I was talking like somebody from Frost Bank, and they're awesome. The small local bank is the bedrock of the business community. And when you're doing entrepreneurship and you're there and you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay for things and how you're going to do your banking, having a local bank means everything. I have all my customers in the U.S. I have all my employees in Central America doing the transfer of money. And if we make a sale in Central America, good luck getting that money back to the U.S. So that's especially if I'm working with a local bank. If I work with Chase or Bank of America, I'm in a conglomerate. Yes, they have those facilities. Yes, they're able to do all the checks and make sure I'm not doing money laundering or anything like that. But also, they don't know my name. They don't know who I am. And you lose a lot of that. So I can see that being a really big benefit for allowing local banks and smaller banks to kind of play at the world stage and support other businesses. So for that, you need a lot of infrastructure in place. Is that right?
That is correct. So this is the strategy, right? So if you're moving, so for example, we'll use Honduras as a good friend. I'm from Honduras,
okay.
So I'm like,
my first visit outside of the United States was to the Valley of the Angels, just outside of Tegucigalpa, and it'd be 1994. And I've been going there ever since.
Wow.
So I was there 3 months ago.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I was born in San Pedro Sula in 85.
There. I was there a year ago speaking at Unitec.
Oh, Unitec. Yeah. All right. Cool, Rand. I wish I had some of my cousins here. They would love to hear more about the experience. I was mostly raised here, so I tell people, I honor my heritage, but I consider myself Texan. All right. But
I like to tell people that I was not born in Texas, but I got here as soon as I could.
We have a lot of people from from different states and stuff like that come in,
countries.
Countries as well. Yeah. Are you originally from the States as well? Or?
I'm originally from Southeast Michigan, right about there.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah. Not here because it's kind of scary down there, but up here.
It's awesome. I got actually a friend of mine is here. He's a former Marine. And he actually is a Michigan guy as well. And I got another buddy of mine. He retired from the Army as a counter intel guy, a warrant chief officer. And, he's a Michigan guy too.
So when I see people with big ideas that this has a longer cycle to market. You're not going to set something up in the next 90 days and be up and operational in the market. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So what I like to say is Jobs and Apple did not invent the iPad first.
Oh, interesting.
They went to an opportunity that one had technical feasibility, market necessity, and access. And they did that first. So they started with the Apple one. Wozniak, he built this in a garage, literally. And then so they approached a market that they could. And then it's kind of an approach of first do it what you must, then do what you can, and then you'll be taking on the entire world, right?
Yes.
So I don't think that your first step is Japan. I don't think your first step is Afghanistan or Nicaragua. I think your first step has to be a local play. You have to address a market that you can reach and reach quickly, and then take on the evidence from that, and take on the profitability from that, and then take on the world. I don't see doing a global play as your first move. I don't think you're going to be successful there. I don't think you have the money for that, and I'm not going to give it to you.
I wouldn't blame you either. I wouldn't want to be part of that play either.
Yeah. So what is the baby step, or the first step, the initial market? What's the first thing that you can do to bring value and then return capital as a result of that?
I mean, the very first thing you want to do is you want to make sure is regulation.
Yeah.
Right. That's the very first thing. If you have a good framework for your regulation, then everything else becomes easier to a certain point.
Yeah,
right?
but how do you monetize regulation?
So, the way I do it is from experience, right? And if I take my product and I can say, and I can go to the OCC and say, hey, with my product, I can validate identity a lot better and more dynamically versus somebody else.
Okay. So credit unions are trying to do a crypto play. Credit unions are attempting to, without having to use a three, and I know this, I can't tell you how I know this, but I know this.
Okay.
Look at my LinkedIn profile. You'll see how I know this pretty quickly. They are attempting to do that, but they have the identity play at the local setting, but there's a problem that they're still trying to solve in the crypto space. So that could be how you monetize it. And then you solve that on somewhere else in the world. And next thing you know, your crypto, another country crypto back to local currency, and bam, you just did an international transfer in seconds. And so I do think that there is a need in the market, but I don't think that your first play is a global play.
Yeah, no way.
And the regulations are, oh my gosh, regulations. You have 70 different regulations in the U.S., every different district, every state. You have the federal, and then you have to go solve that same thing on the other side of the world. I think I think it needs to be done. I think that 30 years from now, we have to have solved this. I don't know how to go for a global play right away. I think you have to start with a local play.
No, I agree. Yeah, and that's why I picked the regional banks. Is I think from a regional play, it gives you a good way to, because you want to, I think it's, it's folly to go after JPM City and you don't have a product. It's just,
you're not getting through the door.
Yeah, no way. Right. So if you have, actually, ironically enough, we were conversing earlier, I'm a student here at SMU, right? So I'm part of the executive MBA program here, and the opportunities here are phenomenal, right? I actually took the idea because I've been marinating this for a little bit and just trying to figure out how to see if there's even a possibility. Mm-hmm. And I went to one of the Spears events here, and there was an AI investor there. There was a player from one of the big Spotify.
You mean Josh, the director of the Spears Institute? Awesome guy.
I haven't met him.
He was on our podcast earlier this week. Amazing vision, but also just a sense of purpose, and really, really great resource. You should definitely spend some time with them.
Yeah, Nancy Hong actually pulled me aside to say, hey, and she's part of the Spirit Institute. Hey, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, and let's really iron out this idea. The document I actually was pulling up was my one pager that I wrote last night. I don't know if you can see it real quick.
That's a heck of a pager. That page is condensed in full. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how I can get all my thoughts, into one page. That was the hard part. So, and that's actually
tip on a one pager. Don't get all your thoughts on it.
Yeah. I kind of figured that was the case, but But it's from because I'm going through the Spear Institute, right? I'm taking more as like, hey, let me throw everything on here and let the process refine.
Yeah.
Right. Because the last thing I want to do, so like the seminar that I was on right now, I asked a really hard question. I thought it was a hard question. So how does a founder, protect himself, or how does the individual founder protect itself, right, from a VC where VCs make X on the exit and the founders make 1 to 3X, right? The feedback I got was phenomenal, right? I think I can't remember his name, Val, one of the legal people here, track investor or track sponsor of this event, said, that's where you need a really good attorney to help you defend against that. But, I took that in and kind of processed it, and so still kind of marinated and said, okay, yeah, you definitely need a good attorney, but you also need to have a good process to understand and to avoid particular pitfalls, because not all founders know that. They're just like, oh, let me get the money. And
so whenever I start a new company, and we have a venture studio, so we're starting new companies all the time. We started 2 this week, literally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
First person I'm hiring is a lawyer. Very first person. A lawyer to represent that specific group. And who knows? I hope not, but someday that lawyer could be representing against me. It could happen. They're representing the interests of that group. The next person, the money and finance. That's who's next. And then the third person is going to be sales and marketing. And then maybe we start bringing in a product team. But if you don't have those roles, and it could be, so for me, my lawyer and my finance ops are the same guy. My lawyer has a degree in finance, international finance and law, PhD in law. But those are the kind of the core roles that you need. You need somebody to protect the financial structure, the legal structure, and then somebody to identify who you're selling to. You need to understand, who am I selling to? What is their problem, pain, cause, consequence, and urgency? And then once I know those things, you design a solution to solve those things for a known set of people. Too many people start off with, I don't like working with technical founders because they start writing code before they understand who is going to use the service. Don't build a product until you know who wants it. 40% of the time when a company fails, when a startup fails, it's because of a lack of product market fit. That means you build something nobody wants, nobody cares about. Another 40% of the time, it is because of the inability to deliver the solution, either from project management issues or finance issues. 80% of the time when you start a new company, it fails because you can't get a product that matters in front of an audience that cares. You solve those two things, you are 80% likely to succeed. But for that to happen, you need to understand your market, not the technology first. Then you need to understand the problem that you're solving, and then create a solution to solve that problem for a known person.
Thank you so much. I needed to hear that because that's the path I was taking on right now.
Yep.
So because, this idea I'm still refining it. The whole purpose of me being here is to find people who can destroy it. Because if I can find people who can destroy, or the naysayers, it gives me an idea, okay, why are you saying no to this, right? Some people said no to me because they're already invested in the play. That's similar to this, right?
Yeah.
Other people said no to me. They're like, hey, you have regulatory issues that you're going to have to deal with, right? Which I'm not concerned about that too much. Anybody that tells you they're an expert in my field.
You need to be concerned but not worried.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the right way to phrase that. So, and I'm actually writing a book on this. It's called Before You Build. And my entire point there is, have you heard of the lean startup where they say build, measure, learn? Where are you building from? You can't just build first, but that's a little bit of what they say. Go out, get an agile, build something, and then go out and find out if somebody wants it or not. And find out. Know a group of people, understand that problem, create a solution for that.
Right.
Awesome. Well, we have talked to founders and creators from all stages of development, all the way from the idea stage, all the way out to the been in business for 30 years and scaled it and exited phase, and everything in between here at Dallas Startup Week. This is the last day of Dallas Startup Week. I do know that they've been doing this every year for, I believe this is the 10th year, and next year they're going to be keep doing it. That's what Debt Council does. So definitely connect with DEC. The State of Entrepreneurship event's going to be coming up this fall. Events are happening with associated organizations every month. So appreciative to the Debt Council and Dallas Startup Week for inviting the Catalyst Effect out here, and love hearing your idea. You have definitely stumbled on something, and I'm really intrigued to see what the solution is to the problem that you've spotted.
Absolutely. Yeah. Same here. I look forward to it as well. I mean,
awesome.
Continual process, right?
Yeah, absolutely.